Hello guys and welcome back for the second time today. Yes, this is Mr. Siege again. Now, I've had time to dwell on the new commander, have a chat with plenty of other people in game and on Discord, and yes, I've had a few more thoughts on basically what this new commander, Stephen the Third, or Stephen the Great, Stefan Shelmer, also known in Moldovan, he's actually born in Romania. Okay, I've done a little bit of research on him now, but yeah, he's also known as Stephen the Great. So yeah, I've had a little bit of think, and I think people are underrating him already. Now, I actually think he could be a very, very solid commander, but that all depends on how many siege units or siege towers your kingdom runs. My kingdom actually do run quite a few. You might see about 10-ish at peak times. Obviously, I'll be running 3 now. So yeah, stick around. I'm going to go through a bit more detail in how great he could be and a bit more on the pairings now I've had a bit more of a think about it. So stick around, I hope you enjoyed the video. So yeah, obviously we've got this new commander, Stephen the Great. Chisgul refers to him as Steve now. I get that, he does look a bit like a Steve, or a frog, but we'll go with Steve. I think that's more fitting for him, and especially because he's an engineering commander, I don't want to diss him too much. His active skill, I think, is going to be way underrated. I think people are going to look at the damage factors and think, wow, that's poor. But in actual terms of damage, once the active skill is cast, you're going to be doing 1200 damage factor. Again, that is similar to what Babo would do. Well, the same as what Babo would do, because Babo's 2400 is reduced by 50%, obviously when not in melee range, and this Stephen is not going to be in melee range generally. If he is at melee range, he's going to be doing 2200 damage factor. But not only that, he's got the healing as well, which Babo doesn't. Babo has no healing at all. And with the exposed effect, which lasts for 2 seconds, you're going to be healing 300 every second, well, every basic attack, which is every second. So that's going to do 600 mighty heal. Now we're going to Gorge Armada here, and he does a mighty healing factor of 600, and we know that's great. He's got great longevity, survivability on the field. But what we haven't considered, and I mentioned this briefly with the chat with Chisgul, is that we have multiple Stephens on the field. Multiple Stephen the Greats. And if you've got multiple Stephen the Greats, you're going to be exposing a lot more of those field troops that you're attacking. Therefore, as long as you're attacking those with every basic attack or any ranged basic attacks, you're going to be doing that 300 mighty heal. So the more Stephens, the better. An army of Stephens could be completely OP. Imagine the amount of healing. They're basically never going to die, or, you know, near enough. I wouldn't have thought they'd die easily at all. Now, the other thing I've thought about is obviously the exposed effect. In fact, it wasn't me that thought of it, I'll be honest with you. It was another guy commented on my last video, and he said, what about if cavalry can cast the exposed effect next time? Or even, what about if we get epic range commanders and they can cast the exposed effect? Now, they're going to work hand in hand with the new commander Stephen, and you're going to get loads more healing, which is actually going to be phenomenal. Now, the only other thing I kind of need to talk about is Stephen's expertise, which whenever their troop deals ranged skill damage, it has a 20% chance to deal ranged direct damage up to 3 enemy troops near the target, and that's a direct damage factor of 500. Well, not direct, it's a damage factor of 500 AoE for 3 targets. Yes, it's reduced by 15% each target, and the cooldown's 10 seconds. So what does this mean with that having a 20% chance? Okay, so when we look at Stephen's active skill, he deals direct damage factor 800, and then also additional damage for 2 seconds. Now, this expertise skill there has 3 chances to cast at 20%. So there's almost a 60% chance just by having Stephen on the field for that expertise to cast, as far as I'm aware. Well, 3 lots of 20% chance, that is. So that additional damage every 2 seconds. Now, I've complained about this in the past because it's no good with the plume, but for his expertise, Stephen's expertise, that could be very strong. Now, thinking about pairing with a commander like Margaret, she has 1 direct damage factor here, so that's skill damage. because she's a skill damage commander, and she doesn't do any more skill damage factors. Paired with Babur, we have a skill damage here, 2400, and we also have a 10% chance to deal 500 damage factor here on this passive skill. So there's an extra chance to trigger, as far as I'm aware, tell me if I'm wrong, Steven's expertise. Okay, which, yeah, there's only a 10% chance here, but if that triggers one every 10 basic attacks, range basic attacks, 1 out of 10 times, they've got another 20% chance of that expertise triggering. Now, this in total, if paired with Babur, is given 5 chances over the next 10 seconds or so, ish, to launch that expertise on Steven. That every 10 seconds, because that's the cooldown on this expertise skill, it's going to be cast. So you're going to be doing AoE every 10 seconds pretty much, and that in itself is fantastic. So I know it's only 500, I know it's nothing like Cordoba, but you are doing that 2400 anyway on a single target like Babur does. Well, 1200 because obviously it's halved because obviously you're not at melee range. So that 500, obviously it's reduced by 15%. So I estimate you're going to be doing about 1250 in terms of damage factor amongst those troops. And obviously if you're firing to a ball, you're going to hit all those targets, which is kind of amazing, okay? I think it's way underrated. Every 10 seconds you're going to be doing an extra 1200 die damage factor combined. Now in terms of that, I think that's going to be absolutely huge on the field. Now the only thing I think Steven's missing is a debuff. Now as we know, whenever we get a pairing of commanders come out, and that has been the case, we do usually get a pair of commanders, and I am expecting there being a pairing for Steven too. Now I'd expect him to have a debuff because every other commander's had a debuff. Obviously defense reduction on this one. Garja Marder has a 20% defense reduction on his 4th skill. So I think we could get another commander with a debuff. And to be honest, we need debuffs as siege marches because a lot of people actually think we're selfish. They think we do this to chase KP, but you know what? I'm just picking the strongest marches possible. I like siege because they're so strong. They're even strong at melee. Babur Garja Marder even beats Huo Nevsky close up. If we're talking like same equipment, same city skins, all that sort of stuff. They actually compare to Huo Nevsky, which is absolutely crazy in melee range. Babur and Garja Marder. But having debuffs and having equipment that debuffs as well, like the dagger, really helps your allies out. I mean, you're helping your allies out anyway by killing troops. Obviously, if you're murdering other troops in the murder balls, you're going to be helping out anyway, aren't you? So never feel guilty for that. I mean, there is some people in this game that are just so against siege, and you know what? Don't take much notice of them. I think those people are kind of jealous. They miss the opportunity. They're very one-sided people. You know what? If people don't want to invest in siege, that's fine. But don't moan against it. You know what? You're helping your kingdom. It's better than just gathering all the time, sending your farmers out to nodes all day, every day, and not fighting for your kingdom. Those people that actually do want to fight and get kills on the field helping their kingdom, if you want to run siege units, do it and ignore what anyone else says to you, because at the end of the day you're doing more than those people that moan and groan, and if they're not getting the kills, that's their fault, okay? Don't feel bad for that. Now, as I explained, I think Babur is going to be the best pairing with Steven at the moment. Everything seems to work. The skill damage bonuses, I think it's all just suits. We've got defense, health, attack bonuses, and a great pairing. Now, I have spoken to people about the Margaret pairing, and honestly, I think Steven really should be a primary commander with the skill tree. I think the skill tree could be really, really strong. But also, Margaret really is a primary commander. The support tree is fantastic, and with her being primary commander, this 50% more ranged normal damage will then be added on to the active skill of the secondary commanders, because obviously that lasts for 3 seconds. And honestly, that is so strong. If she's secondary commander, you're only going to get that on the basic attacks, which is okay, but it's not as good as if you're running with a smite commander like Cordoba. Now, if you've maxed Cordoba and you've got a 5-5-1-1 Margaret, or you've not maxed Garge or anything like that, I think Steven could be excellent at 5551 with Gonzalo de Cordoba. I think they get great value from that, especially having a heal with him. Potentially better than Garjamar at 5551, but I'm not going to be able to test that because obviously I have Max Garjamada. I can test Stephen at 5551 with Cordoba, check the results out, but obviously I'm not going to be able to go back and change these commanders to 5511s or 5551. So if another commander doesn't come out, my pairing choices would be Margaret with Cordoba, Stephen with Baba. I would put Stephen primary with his skill tree, and we'll have a look at the skill tree in a second. And I actually run Garjamada with Caesar because of Caesar's all damage. But obviously on the Caesar subject, the 20% all damage is very nice and the unit capacity, plus the march speed you get from the museum buff, and taking 10% less damage is great too. But I'm also interested in the new leadership commander because he will do 30% more damage, and there's a chance of also re-triggering the active skill on Garjamada, which could be very, very strong. So yes, I think they could be a great pairing too, but I am expecting a new engineering commander, on top of on top of Stephen's announcement. We should get another one. That's just my opinion. Again, we really don't know what's going to happen in the future. So again, let's go look at the skill tree. In fact, first of all, we'll go into the engineering tree. No, I don't want to reset that. Right, they're all saved. Right, so on Garjamada. Now, I would always say that we need to max this tree out, the engineering tree, pretty much. But obviously that is going to use a huge amount of points. So we've got 27 talent points remaining here. We're just going to see how we can put those 27 points into this tree. Now, you don't have to go for the march speed. Okay, so we could potentially have 30 points. But I do like the march speed, although will it make that much difference? I'm not sure. Stephen has a 20% march speed buff anyway, so again, it might not make a huge difference. So let's go to a skill damage commander like Guan and go to his talents. Now, this tree could be absolutely pathetic. I really don't know. Just ignore that, okay? We'll just say ignore it. So we've got 27 points. Now, you'd expect... No, we've got 27 points, maybe 30. Now, we could take Rejuvenate, which is going to cost 16. And we could put... we'll probably put 3 points into that, maybe 2. We'll say 3. So, how many is that used? So we start with 74. 16, 17, 18 points there. 2 points. That's pointless. We don't need to take less skill damage. Troop deals 1% more skill damage of all types. Okay, so with this you will deal more skill damage again, which is great. So 3 more points in there. So we had 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Additional damage of all types. Okay, perfect. 22, 23, 24. And then, so we got 3 more points to use. Okay, now sort of running out of options here. You could go for the health. What's this one? See, this could be good actually. Now it's whether you use those 5 points. Okay, so you're going to be dealing 6% more skill damage. Okay, of all types. So that includes range skill damage. Now you are going to take 6% more skill damage of all types. Wait, what's this one? Yeah, you take 6% skill damage of all types. So if you're being hit by another tower, you are going to take 6% less skill damage from that. So this could actually work well if you're getting targeted by another tower. I tend to take out towers quite a lot, or attempt to. So this could really help me a decent amount. Now, we had 74 points, didn't we? And we've got 43 remaining. So we used 31 points, so that's 1 point over what we wanted to. It's just whether you think this part of the tree is worth it compared to the march speed on the engineering tree. So yeah, 31 points there, but you could just put 2 points into this Naked Rage. And honestly, I think you'd be alright without the march speed, just doing a little bit more skill damage. That is going to help. That is going to help quite a lot, especially if you are going 2 skill damage commanders, which does make sense to me. Obviously, if you are running Stephen and Cordoba, I wouldn't be too bothered about this skill. It's not going to make a massive amount of difference. It's only going to benefit Stephen the Great. So I did speak to Phil about the talent trees as well, and he suggested maybe going like this for the engineering tree and skill tree, but we're going to test these out in game. Now, another thing to mention is obviously a bit like Cordoba's skill here, the passive skill, this commander's troop takes 20% less ranged counterattack damage. Okay, Stephen will take 15% less ranged counterattack damage, which is great. Now, I thought this was maybe only tower versus tower, but it isn't. So whenever we're attacking any troop on the map, firing from range, when we're in a tower, okay, we're going to take less counter-attack damage from those troops we're hitting. And as we know, at range, as long as you're not being hit back, if you're not being attacked by someone at melee range, you're only going to be doing ranged normal attack damage, which is made up of counter-attack plus attack. So half of those white numbers is going to be made up of your counter-attack damage, your ranged counter-attack damage. So you're going to be taking less of those white numbers in return, which, to be honest, it does add up, all those white numbers you'll be receiving, especially when you're attacking a higher, it seems like when you're attacking a higher counter-attack march, to be honest with you. Normal counter-attack marches, like high counter-attack marches like Charles Martel or Pakel or like Attila Takeda sort of troops, they do seem to do more damage back to your ranged commanders, even though they shouldn't, because they have high counter-attack damage. But I mean, I've spoken to Phil about this a few times. Phil's absolutely mad on ranged, and he knows pretty much all there is to know about ranged commanders, way more than me. He's in the Discord group, so if any of you have any questions, he's the guy to go to be honest with you. Like, I do my best, I take advice from him, you know, we have conversations about stuff, and he says, no, that's not quite right. And yeah, he's just a great chap. So if you want to talk to him and any of the others in the Discord group, obviously that is in the description below in the video, so yeah, go to there. But yeah, apparently if you are attacking someone that has high counter attack, it shouldn't do more damage to the ranged march, but to me it does seem like it does. But Phil says not anyway, so you know, I should believe Phil, really. He's the man with all the knowledge. I mean, Cordoba's just so good. Look at that ranged normal damage bonus as well. He's just so good. So yeah, guys, I hope that's been helpful. And the only way we're going to know what works best is through testing, and I will be doing all the testing. Nobody else really on YouTube, English speaking at least. I know Jay Tower will probably invest in these commanders, and he'll do that too. But there's not many people on YouTube who's going to invest in the new engineering commanders. I say commanders, I think there's going to be two, but we'll have to wait and see. So guys, check back in when I expertise these commanders or get them to 5511. I'm going to do some extensive testing. I will be expertising them for sure eventually. Keep an eye out for that, and we'll see what the future holds for engineering commanders, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you on the next one. This was Mr. Siege, and bye bye.